Sup, I'm Denzel, and these are my wacky thoughts. Sup, I'm Denzel. Keep your hands up a little bit. Sup, I'm Denzel. Jesus. What are you doing? Sup, I'm Denzel, and these are my wacky thoughts. I am a perfectionist. Now, what that means is that in everything I do, I'm usually not satisfied until whatever it is that I'm doing is perfect. And although that might sound like it leads to a lot of perfect things, in reality, it just leads to a lot of situations where I feel unsatisfied. And that's probably because there's something inherently wrong with trying to reach perfection. Per definition, perfection is the conditioned state or quality of being free or as free as possible of all flaws and defects. However, humans are flawed. Even the most perfect of humans make mistakes sometimes. It is impossible to be completely perfect all the time. We've tried, we've even claimed to have reached perfection a couple of times. The Titanic, for example, was thought to be perfect. And I feel like we can all kind of agree that it wasn't so much. But things like TV shows, movies, and music albums have also been dubbed perfect. And that's kind of where the real issue with perfection rears its head. Saying that a certain album, for example, is perfect implies that there are no flaws or defects in the music. That there is nothing that could possibly be done to make that piece of work any better. And although I might agree that that's the case for Kanye's College Dropout, for example, to someone else, that music album can be so far from perfect that they wouldn't even put it in their top 5 Kanye albums. What I'm trying to say is that it's impossible to create something perfect because what perfection looks like differs from person to person. That makes chasing perfection chasing the impossible. And I don't think there's anything as unnerving and stressful as knowing that you're putting time and energy into something that you already know is unattainable. Doing that is stupid, and I don't see why anyone would ever do that. I am a perfectionist. Yeah, I do that! And that's why I know that it's such a terrible feeling. It's kind of similar to whenever I'd be at a complete loss during mathematics, where I'd know that there would be no way I could ever solve this problem. But I also knew that I still had to work the problem anyways. Lo and behold, I'd work the problem, wouldn't get anywhere, and the longer I'd work on it, the more stressed and irritated I'd become, because it became more and more apparent that I wouldn't get to the right answer anyways. Now imagine that feeling, but you feel it with everything you do. That's kind of how it feels being a perfectionist. Everything you work on is that hard mathematics problem that you will never actually get the answer to, because the answer you're trying to get to is perfection, and the problem is life. Okay, that's kind of bleak, but yeah, because you're always chasing perfection, you rarely reach what you set out to do. And every time you don't reach that impossible standard, you start feeling more deflated and annoyed. It's actually a pretty serious problem. In 2006, a study conducted by the American Association of Suicidology, which looked at over 425 suicides over the course of 3 years, observed that over 55% of the people that took their own lives were described by family and friends as perfectionistic. And although that doesn't mean that perfectionism necessarily leads to suicidal tendencies, it does show that the two are very strongly correlated. And it kind of implies that perfectionism might not lead to the happiest of lives. So, to recap, perfection is unattainable, and trying to reach it leads to feeling miserable. Well, that settles it. Chasing perfection is stupid. It's settled, it's undeniable. That's it. See you guys next time. Wow. Well, not entirely. While it's true that perfection is unattainable, and expecting yourself to be perfect is going to lead to little more than disappointment and despair, that doesn't mean that chasing perfection can't have any positive effects as well. Even though it's impossible to actually reach perfection, chasing perfection has led multiple people to achieve amazing things. Things like going 6 for 6 in the finals, creating a device that lets us talk to people on the other side of the world, or landing on the moon, for example, would not have been possible if the people responsible for those feats weren't constantly trying to be perfect. In fact, there's a study by Oliver Stoll, Andreas Lau, and Joachim Stober, which actually shows that perfectionism can lead to better performance in certain situations, especially in trying out new tasks. So, on the one hand, it's clear that trying to reach perfection is a fruitless endeavor leading to little more than misery. But on the other hand, perfection can lead to amazing things. How? Well, by looking at something one of those three amazing people from before has said, we might actually understand it better. At some point, basketball legend Michael Jordan said, "I can accept failure. Everybody fails at something. But I can't accept not trying." What that shows is that even though he might have always been chasing perfection, he realized that he would never truly be perfect. And he recognized that that's okay. The pursuit of trying to be as close to perfection as humanly possible is most likely what made Michael Jordan one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But recognizing that it's okay that he would never truly be perfect is most likely what kept him sane while doing so. So I guess that in the end, it's not as simple as you shouldn't chase perfection. But I'm reasonably certain that a mindset of wanting to be perfect isn't quite right either. I think that in reality, the best way to go about things is probably a little bit of both. I think you can try to be perfect as long as you realize that you won't be. So don't worry about being perfect, and just be the best you that you can be. What is up? That was my first actual video. I know there's a video before this, which is kind of me introducing this channel and what I want it to be and everything. So if you have not checked that out and you have some time left, please go check that one out too. I hope you've liked this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up and subscribe because there's more videos on the way. For now, that's all I have to say. I was Denzel. These were my wacky thoughts, and thank you for watching. Deuces.